A smoking doctor is a fool. So we need to apply truth. And then write this point down, very important. Truth is literally defined as original information. Now this is very important because sometimes truth becomes very nebulous. We don't understand, when Christ says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. What he meant was, I am the way to the original information that gives you life. Truth is always from the source. Anything other than the source is an opinion. Think about it. Here's how cookbooks are laid out. You got the photograph on the right and the recipe on the left. We don't never look at the left. We just look at the picture. We love the picture. The problem is we do the same thing with our relationships. Every woman in this room has in her head the perfect marriage picture. They meet this guy, he's 6'2", driving a fantastic BMW. He's walking with a 3-piece suit with a briefcase. He's making $600,000 a year. Got a house by the beach down out west, and he is sharp. And he is proposing to you, and you said yes, and both of you got married. 500 people in attendance, the limousines. You got this picture, don't you? Come on, say amen, don't lie to me. And you got this image, this photograph in your mind of you going to that church, marching up, getting married, kissing, throwing the rice, going on honeymoon, coming back, and getting back to that house, having 3 little kids, walking around, watering the garden together. He's painting and you're working, and the kids are playing around you, and you take your evening walks by the beach every evening, go jogging in the morning, go to work, and you have this photograph. Before you go to bed, he kisses you and prays for you. That's the cake you're looking at. What you don't look at is the other page. The picture is the result of a process. Don't you dare walk down an aisle believing that picture is waiting for you up at that aisle. That could be a nightmare in a suit. That picture in that cookbook is a result of a long process. Write this down. The picture is a promise. When you open a cookbook and you look at the picture, the author is promising you something. He's saying, I promise you this picture if you follow the page you don't like. There are men in this room who got a picture of the perfect wife. Every morning she wakes up, she looks like Queen Esther. He never sees her in rollers. He don't want to see her in no duster, dragging no slippers. He always sees her perfect. He pictures a woman who's waiting at the door when he comes home with the food already ready. He sees her standing there with a model look like, hi baby, welcome home, hi there. He has this picture of this woman who takes off his shoes from a long day's work and hands him the newspaper and say, baby, go ahead and read while I just heat the food up. He has this photograph in his mind of this woman who just kisses him on the forehead and says, you're such a good man. Thank you for being such a good worker for my kids. He just has a picture of this woman who is always ready for sex all the time. And our problem is we get married to people and we demand the picture. And this person has no idea how to produce that picture for you. Here's why. The key to the cake is 2 things: the ingredients and the recipe. The recipe is how things should happen in sequence. The ingredients are the components that make up the recipe. All of them are necessary to produce the product. That photograph in your head is complicated. I heard a guy say one time, he said, marriage is wonderful. It's the living together that is hell. And that's what he means. The photograph is beautiful, but the process is not easy. Now, so if you want to have the result, you have to follow the recipe and have the right ingredients. I remember one time I was baking and the cake called for a couple of things I didn't have. When the cake came out, it was hard as rock. It never rose. I became angry at the oven. I became angry at the fire, angry at the kitchen, angry at the pan it was in, angry at the cake. That's what we do. We become angry at the result we're getting, but not taking responsibility for what we failed to put in. There was nothing wrong with that recipe. I decided to put in what I feel like and ignored the manufacturer. And that's what we keep doing with relationships. So relationships are just like cakes. They are only as good as the ingredients. Write this down. If you want the cake, you must follow the recipe. And you must use the ingredients specified by the recipe. If your cake is salty, don't blame the cake. Cakes don't put salt in themselves. If your relationship ain't working out, don't blame your spouse. There's something you ain't putting in either. And you see, sometimes we marry folks who don't know nothing about cakes. They don't know what they're doing. They just like you. It is better to be happy alone than to be depressed in a prison called a relationship. The cake is a result of putting different ingredients together in one place. That's the cake. So the cake is nothing more than the ingredients. The heat, Lord have mercy, is the world you live in, the pressure you're under, the stress that life brings. And the heat, when the heat is on, you're supposed to turn into a nice cake. In other words, when the life hits you, you ain't supposed to collapse and fall apart. The pressure is supposed to make you into a beautiful result. That's the heat of life. But if you don't have the right ingredients, the heat will turn you into a dumb bread. Nobody wants to eat you. Nobody wants to learn from you. Nobody wants to follow you. They can't even enjoy you because you are not tasteful. Your rooms are not wonderful treasure. So when you meet somebody and they claim they have an interest, study what kind of ingredient they are. And that may take you 2 years to figure out at least 10%. Because everybody is lie when they like you. Let me say it again. When people like you, they is lie. That's why when you find someone who is interested in you, put them on trial. I don't trust you yet, I can put you on trial. Now when somebody's on trial, they make the worst witness. Anybody who was on trial should not be the witness, because they're going to defend themselves. My feet are never stink. My breath is always sweet. They're going to lie. So what do? You bring other witnesses who know them to testify on their behalf. Bring their mother. Talk to the mother. Talk to the father. Talk to the sister who slept with her for 20 years in the house. Talk to the brother who knows him very well. That's who you talk to. You don't talk to the person. Our problem is we keep talking to the person. I love you. I love you too. You there? Yeah, I'm still there. It's 2 o'clock, I know, but I don't want to hang up yet. This is not courtship. This is manipulation. Please make a note of this. Very important. The most important relationship in life is not interpersonal relationship, but it's what? Intrapersonal relationship. It's more important for you to know yourself than to know other people. You don't need another person in your life yet. You need you in your life first. The average person don't know who they are themselves. So you need to really develop a relationship with the most important person in your life, and it's you. A lot of people like to be with people because they don't want to be with themselves. If you are the worst company to you, why should you want me to be with you? Let me say it again. If you don't like you, why do you want me to like you? If you can't stand being with you, why do you want me to be with you forever? This is why a person who is a good person to marry is somebody who ain't interested. This is why I tell people, if someone say to you, I need you, run. Run as fast as you can.
The greatest secret to living effectively on earth is understanding the principle and power of priorities. Life on earth holds no greater challenge than the complicating daily. Demand of choosing among competing alternatives for our limited time. Our life is the sum total of all the decisions we make every day, and those decisions are determined by our priorities. How we use our time every day eventually defines our lives. Life was designed to be simple, not complicated, and the key to simplifying life is prioritization. Identifying the correct and right priority of life is the key to a successful and fulfilled life. So then, what is the principle and concept of priority?
Priority is defined as the principal thing, putting first things first, establishing the most important thing. Primary focus, placing in order of importance, placing highest value and worth upon, first among all others.